The political landscape of Britain is bracing for turbulence as Nigel Farage's Reform Party aims to disrupt the status quo in May's local elections, with aspirations to turn electoral success into a stepping stone for a 2029 premiership. Reform is positioning itself as both a disruptor and a contender. Meanwhile, the Lib Dems, often reformers in their own right, cautiously align with reform on one issue, electoral reform, while maintaining ideological distance. This is about the Reform Party's ambitions, its impact on local politics, and the intriguing alignment with the Lib Dems on proportional representation to ditch the first past the post nonsense. In May 2025, 2,240 councillors, 6 mayors, and the fate of numerous councils will be decided. For reform, this election is a proving ground. Richard Tice's bullish rhetoric about targeting areas like Labour-controlled Thurrock underscores their focus on swing councils, and the party's promise to end wokeness in local authorities and cut diversity-related expenditures reveals their populist strategy. While local elections cannot directly address national issues like immigration, reform frames these contests as precursors to larger ambitions, testing their appeal to disillusioned voters across the political spectrum. Thurrock was once bankrupted by Conservatives, now controlled by Labour, and Reform hopes to capitalise on local frustrations. Lincolnshire, Reform is fielding Andrea Jenkins, the finger-touting ex-MP in yellow, a high-profile defector, nevertheless a joke candidate as a mayor. And the wider implications suggest that success in these regions, in these elections, would lend credibility to Reform's plans to govern and pave the way for their general election aspirations. The one-off alliance between Reform and the Lib Dems on proportional representation is a rare moment of cross-party agreement. Both are signatories of the Make Votes Matter campaign, aiming to dismantle the first-past-the-post system that entrenches Labour and Conservative dominance. And Reform's support is less altruistic. PR would amplify their influence in a fragmented parliament. Wendy Chamberlain, the Lib Dem chief whip, highlights this alignment as pragmatic rather than ideological. She envisages PR as a means to strengthen democratic fairness, but distances her party from Reform's combative media strategies. Farage's Reform Party capitalises on voter disillusion, promising common sense leadership. Yet critics point to their lack of government experience. As Professor Tony Travers of the LSE quipped, there's no left or right-wing way of emptying a dustbin. Local election success demands policy depth, not just populist slogans, and the image of Farage, Nick Candy and Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago signals Reform's ambition to attract financial support, but not really brains. With over 100,000 members and growing infrastructure, Reform is poised to amplify its message, but it's like shouting in the dark, shouting with nothing to say. It's just noise. Media appearances sometimes always overshadowing, real policy, substantive policy. The Lib Dems focus on grassroots engagement, branding their MPs as 72 local champions visible in their communities. Chamberlain's critique of Labour's policy missteps, such as inheritance tax on farmland, reveals an effort to appeal to voters disillusioned with both major parties. While the Lib Dems support PR, they stress the importance of local representation and delivery. They view Farage's party as a media-driven operation, contrasting their own focus on tangible policy outcomes like infrastructure improvements and water regulation reforms. May's elections will test Reform's ability to convert rhetoric into results. Their alignment with the Lib Dems on PR highlights an interesting paradox: two ideologically distinct parties agreeing on democratic reform for vastly different reasons. If Reform succeeds, it will mark a seismic shift in British politics. However, governing, whether locally or nationally, requires more than sound bites. It demands solutions and presence. And Nigel Farage doesn't exactly lead from the front there in demonstrating that as an MP, as an elected official, he should be present in his local constituency. The ultimate question remains, can Nigel Farage's Reform Party deliver where others have faltered, or will this be another protest vote destined to fade when faced with the realities of real government.